All right, so we're recording. No worries. So I'm just going to ask basic questions.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of wing it as I go, too.
That's fine.
So how do you feel about being back in this house?
I'm pretty used to it. I'm here at least once a week, so it doesn't really bother me.
Okay. If you had to describe the energy in the house, what is the overall energy or like feel or vibe of the home?
I think for the most part it feels positive to me. I mean, it feels like home. It's kind of a happy place, I think. Not had a ton of negative experience here.
Okay. Circling back to you said not had a ton of negative experience. Do you want to talk about maybe something that happened that would classify as a negative experience?
I think probably the most negative thing that I have felt here is I was home by myself once when I was a teenager. We had a huge snowstorm, and there was a very scary man pacing back and forth in the yard. And I ended up calling. I couldn't get a hold of Mom or Dad. They were both at work. I ended up calling Nathan, and he came home, and there were no footprints or anything. There really wasn't anybody out there. But I do remember being terrified and thinking, like, this person's going to come in the house at some point in time. But there ended up being no person.
That's very scary. So can you walk me through an experience that in your mind kind of stands out above the rest of the experiences that you've had here?
Probably one of the ones that I think stands out the most to me, and it's definitely more of a positive one for me, is that I used to sleep in one of the upstairs bedrooms, and when I was a kid, I was afraid of the dark, so I always kept the hallway light on. And I woke up one night, and there was like a shadow of a man and a woman just standing in my bedroom doorway watching me sleep. And it wasn't a scary feeling. It was like they were checking on their kid. You know what I mean? It wasn't scary at all. It was like a weird, comforting, like they were just checking to make sure their kiddo was okay.
Okay. So you're going to be joining us for the investigation tonight.
Yes.
Is there something that you want out of the investigation? Anything that you're hoping for or that you want to experience?
Well, honestly, I'm hoping to hear from Mom tonight. Our mom just recently passed away, and I'm kind of hoping to hear something from her, to be honest.
Yeah. I feel like that would mean a lot to you. I don't have any more questions.
Oh, you're fine.
Is there anything that you want to add? Any other story? Maybe like your first experience that you knew that maybe like something weird was going on with the house or anything?
When I was probably a young teenager, I don't think that I realized that there was anything happening in the house when I was a little kid. I know that when we bought the house, Mom said that she was just really overwhelmed by a feeling of like a very positive spirit. She felt like somebody was watching us pull in the driveway out of one of the upstairs windows, and she felt like she just had this like feeling that it was like an old grandma type lady who was really excited to see all these kids get out and start running around the overgrown yard that hadn't been used for a long time. I mean, I had heard that story my whole life, but I don't think I really had any experiences with anything here until I was a little bit older. And stuff used to disappear out of my bedroom. Things would just disappear. Stuff that I loved would just come up missing. And that wasn't long after we learned some of the history of the house. Some things that like there's like an open space in between some of the rafters in the attic. There's an open space up there. And so we had somebody come in who was like, maybe you have a spirit that's taking your stuff, and you just need to be firm and stand here and say, give me that back. That's mine. And I did it, and the next day it showed up, and it was completely covered in like old cellulose insulation just laying on my bedroom floor.
That's crazy.
So we've definitely had some stuff, and that's probably one of my first real experiences here. One of our older brothers and I were in a car accident, and he almost died in the accident, but he said he remembered that there was a girl in the car with him who was telling him to wake up and she was holding his head out of the water and trying to wake him up. And then a couple people actually saw him like in the house here with that girl around him. So she just kind of stayed with him after that.
Huh.
So that was interesting.
Anything else that kind of jumps out in your mind? Any other story?
Not that I can think of right offhand.
Okay. Do you think there's any important history that needs to be mentioned?
We definitely have. We've had a Confederate soldier that we've seen in the house. This house is it's just shy of 200 years old. It was built in 1831. So we have had a Confederate soldier that we've seen in the house. We've seen him upstairs. I think he's been seen downstairs. We are under the understanding that there was a teenage girl who may have been murdered in the home long before we moved in. And then again, the old grandma type figure. Some people have had a run-in with an angry man. Like I said, there was an angry man outside. Some people have said there was an angry man inside too. So I haven't really had that experience inside the house though.
This light is like flickering. Why is it flickering?
The one up there in the hallway turns on and off by itself.
Oh, no.
So welcome to the flickering light.
Yeah, I don't know why it's flickering. It's going to bother me. I don't think I have any other questions.
It was not flickering when we all came in.